Now to the topic that seems to be on everyone's minds these days, artificial intelligence. AI is becoming less of a concept and more of a reality, touching on every facet of our culture, from dating, where people are using AI, to practice for dates, to actually being in a relationship with AI bots.
Oh, and to those deep fake AI-generated videos where it's getting harder to tell what is real and what is fake. Just this week, an AI-generated video of Tom Cruise and Brad Pitt fighting appeared online and has the entire entertainment industry spooked.
I bet, because it looks authentic.
Yeah.
So today we have someone here to help us make sense of it all. Futurist and tech entrepreneur Sinead Bovell. Hi.
Hi.
How are you?
How are you?
That first video, my goodness, the Brad Pitt and Tom Cruise, it's so much harder to tell now whether something is legit.
Yeah, I actually think we've passed the point of being able to detect. It's really tricky for the average person.
Yeah, because look at this. How would you know?
So if somebody is familiar with AI-generated content, the thing you could maybe spot is physics. AI does struggle with things that are supposed to represent the laws of physics. So if a ball is bouncing, it may suddenly just disappear. Or if somebody steps on snow, there may not be a footprint. So things that operate as laws of physics in the real world, AI at this point in time still struggles with, but that won't be forever.
You say what AI lacks in trust, journalism holds.
Yeah.
What is that? Explain what that means.
Yeah, so people are very confused, and I feel for them. And for the average person, it's not reasonable to beat a supercomputer at spotting what's real and what's not. What's interesting is AI inherently lacks trust. It's not grounded in facts. Anyone can create anything. But the institution of journalism, on the other hand, has a process of integrity. It's built in fact-checking, finding credible sources. So if the journalism industry is able to adapt to this moment, this is a pair, AI and journalism, that strengthen each other. So I think the more we see AI-generated content, the more journalism will also start to appreciate and value. We're going to rely on it more.
Oh my God, journalism professors everywhere are jumping up and down. So you say that we should have collective responsibility when it comes to AI. I know sometimes if I can't tell, I'll just scroll to the comments or show my kids because they seem to know better than I do. So what do you mean by that, though, collective responsibility?
So I think if you're not sure, the best thing to do is let the video go by. If you engage with it, so if you share it to someone, one, you're kind of spreading more potential uncertainty. You're also telling the algorithm what content you want to continue to be on your feed. So you're going to get more confusing AI-generated content, and that video is going to get more engagement. So if you're not sure, the best thing to do is just let it go by.
We started with that video of Brad Pitt and Tom Cruise. How is Hollywood dealing with this idea of deep fakes? And like, should normal, regular people be worried about it?
So I think that there's two things. On the one hand, there's the deep fakes and using somebody's likeness to profit off of, if that's what's happening.
And that has been happening.
That has been, and yes, and for fake advertisements that they never signed up for. Really scary in terms of your likeness being copied. I do think we're seeing policymakers start to target that. But then there's also the threat to the entertainment industry. What does AI actually mean?
Like, could they create television shows, movies without actors acting?
So we're not close to that. AI doesn't have a good memory, so you would never be able to, at this point, generate a coherent episode or a coherent film. That's just, we're not there yet at all.
Thank God.
What I think is really interesting is I think there's a kid in a basement somewhere using AI to invent a new type of art form that is actually AI first and isn't just trying to mimic what Hollywood does, but does something different. When the camera was invented, we didn't film live plays, we invented movies.
Yeah.
We did something new. So I think it's hard for us to imagine, but this is where artists shine. They take the technology and do something different.
Can I just follow up? You just said something that I think is important. You said that there are people, policymakers, thinking about regulation. Do you feel like AI will be regulated?
I think it will be. I think that there are policymakers that are trying. We're obviously in a very challenging moment. Things are moving quite quickly. You are seeing some countries pass laws, so that's a good signal because it means, somebody somewhere has figured that out. So I think, it might take some form of an incident to really wake up policymakers. The good thing is we learned a lot from social media, what happens when we wait too long, and they recognize that. And governments are having at least a conversation. It took social media
it's ahead
decades.
of us.
Yeah.
It's like trying to keep up with your kids in technology. They're ahead of us. So you're on constantly behind the 8 ball. Before we run out of time, can we talk about dating? There are people who use AI to date. There are people who use it to set up profiles. I mean, I get some of the things like setting up a profile, but some people are just lonely and they're just using,
which is the saddest.
They're using a bot to have a companion.
I mean, it shows that there's a real lack of community and people are feeling a loneliness epidemic.
Yeah, and that's the part I think that scares me most. And I think it's actually something we have to take seriously. It's so easy to hear people are falling in love with AI systems and think this is kind of strange and nonsense. There's a study by the Institute of Family Studies that showed 1 in 4 young people believe AI could eventually be a viable partner.
I believe it.
I don't believe that. That's so sad.
Because this AI bot will only speak things that are positive to you.
Well, also, it's no work.
Won't be mad
There's
at
no
you.
friction. There's no validation.
Yeah,
and
it's
that's
just all
by
validation.
design. That's a design choice that AI companies are making to continue to flatter you, to continue to draw you back in. It can be designed differently, but it does speak to the loneliness crisis. It does speak to the desire to feel like you're being heard. So there is something we can learn from it, but I think we should pay attention to that, and that's probably not a future where we want to continue to follow that path. So I think intervention there is really important.
Finally, how worried do you think we should be when it comes to AI?
In general, I think, it's a really big deal. There's going to be a lot of disruption. There's some amazing things that AI is allowing us to do that we could never do before. But this is the first technology in history that really mimics what it means to be human. And that gives it a different type of agent in our society. So we do want to tread carefully, especially when it comes to things like relationships, companions, and things that we see as human-only domains.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Good.
Thank you.
I know. She's the best. You guys, thanks for watching.
I know. Come join us for all the fun every weekday on NBC.
Yeah, and don't forget to take us along when you're on the go.
Follow the Today with Jenna and Sheinelle podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen.